3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
What's good? What's good? What's good? Combat Conversation fam, what's happening? I've been away for a minute, man, and everything is all good. I appreciate all the love, all the messages, the inbox, text, phone calls, man. Everything is good, man. So we're back. We're back officially, man, to bring you the best in the world of martial arts, combat sports, boxing, pugilism, whatever you like on the fight tip. We got it here, man. I'm telling you right now, listen, we back. We got a lot to talk about this week. And it appears, as we're discussing the events of this week, we're going to give you a sneak peek as to what next week's events are going to be like. And it's going to be action-packed as well. So we will start. What's good? What's good? What's good? Joe, how you be, fam? Shout out to all my fam in Facebook land. Shout out to all the fam in YouTube land. We're streaming live on YouTube, and to all my IG fam as well. Call in and holler at us, man. Call us up and holler at us, man. 516-590-0997. Again, call us up, man. 516-590-0997. Listen, also to the fam, my apologies on the post that we put up on all our social media streams. We put the wrong guest call-in phone number. That was my fault. I will make sure I correct that for next week's show and here on out. But the proper number to call in is 516-590-0997. That number was changed. I did not put the correct number on the social media streams. That is the correct number if you want to call in. But most of y'all chime in on the Facebook feed, on the Instagram live feed, and on the YouTube feed as well. So let's get to it. We got a lot to talk about. We had some events that took place on Friday night. UFC fight night on Friday, man. We had a couple of decent fights. It started off lit, kind of died down as far as the action is concerned throughout the course of events. Then it kind of picked up again, especially dealing with that main event. And yeah, didn't happen as far as UFC fight night events on Friday, but next week is going to be super lit. We're going to talk about, give you a sneak peek, a preview of next week's events. We will have UFC 225, which will have 2 title bouts. We're going to talk about that. We got a lit fight. My man's is fighting on Showtime next week. Bud Crawford turns Bud Crawford. He's going to be fighting Jeff Horn, and also that's going to be on ESPN, excuse me. And also on Showtime Boxing, we'll have one of the Crawford twins. It is Jermell. You know, you got Jermell and Jamal Crawford. So Jermell will be fighting Austin Trout next week. And there's another championship fight on that card as well. So first, let's start off by talking about UFC's events that took place on Friday night. UFC Fight Night Friday night. We'll start with the main event that ended in a stunning 33-second KO victory for Marlon Moraes. My man, hey, my man, Coach Green, Dwayne, what's up, baby? Yeah, Charlo. I said they said Crawford, didn't I? My man, I said Crawford. Thanks for the correction. And I always, you know what? It's funny. I always get those two twins mixed up between Jermell and Jamal. And I'm thinking about Terrence Bud Crawford when I said their last name because I'm a big Bud Crawford fan. But it is Charlo, excuse me. But yes, my man, Coach Green. Jamal's twin brother, will be fighting Austin Trout next week on Showtime Boxing. We'll talk about that in a few. But yeah, let's start with the UFC's events last night, man. Moraes, man, he looked real good last night, man. And he got Jimmy Rivera last night, ended Rivera with a 33-second KO victory. And The thing is, Rivera was on a 20-fight win streak, man. This dude was like coming up through the ranks, man. He was looking to get a title shot, but Moraes just killed that last night. My man, I'll see you, Coach Green. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a few. Just give me a few minutes. Yeah, but last night, man, Moraes, he looked good, and I noticed that at the end of the fight, he called out TJ Dillashaw. He wants to fight the winner of Dillashaw Branded 2. Of course, you know that they had a long-standing beef, TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt, especially going back to the Ultimate Fighter tournament where they both were coaches of their respective teams. Especially Cody. Cody talked like mad smack. My man, Mike the Wolfman, what's up, baby? I see you, one of my IG homies right there. Yeah, so Cody Garbrandt talked a lot of smack to TJ. TJ wound up getting the win, dropped Cody in a vicious fashion, walked away with that belt. Of course, they scheduled a rematch for those two. And Moraes made an awesome case last night to fight the winner of that Garbrandt-Dillashaw rematch. So we'll see how that pans out. But I honestly did not have Moraes winning that fight last night, man. Look, Jimmy Rivera came into the fight hot, 20-fight win streak. He's been finishing cats, just smacking dudes around in the octagon, all pish posh. Then Moraes come in last night and dropped him in the first round, 33 seconds. Dude, I'm like, yo, what's up? My man Dominic, what's good, baby? On paper, it looked like a good fight. It looked like a good matchup, man. My man Mike Wolfman, if I know you're a big MMA dude, if you saw Friday night's fight events, chime in, tell me what you thought, man. And after we discuss that, man, we're gonna talk about boxing, and we'll talk about another MMA great, the Count, Mike Bisping. He decided to retire Monday, man, and the MMA world had a lot of positive, a lot of good things to say about the career of the Count Mike Bisping, which they should. At the end of the day, Mike Bisping is going to the MMA Hall of Fame. He's one of the GOATs. So we'll get into that in a second, not to go too straight too far away from the point. He looked real good last night. Marlon Moraes did, man. He was, I remember him from the WSOF, the World Series of Fighting, man. He was awesome back then, before he merged over and went into his UFC career. And the thing with this guy, man, his last two fights have both been finishes. And those two fights, his last two fights combined, have a total of just under 2 minutes. This is Marlon Moraes. This dude is a monster. I'm not too hip to the history. I watched him in WSOF. I can't really consider myself a fan. I'm more so a fan than I am now than I was then. But I haven't been watching him as closely as some of the other fighters. I'm after Friday night's events, I'm going to start paying more attention to him. I do remember him from WSOF, but just watching him, from what I have been watching him coming up through the ranks, man, I definitely see a title shot in this kid's future. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out as far as him winning him fighting the winner of the rematch between Garbrandt and Dillashaw. I would have to look at the rankings. Looking at the rankings, the UFC rankings in that bantamweight division, of course, you got TJ at the top and Cody ranked as number 1, waiting for the rematch. And I'm looking at the rankings, and you got dudes like Dominic Cruz, Jimmy Rivera. Marlon is ranked number 5 right now. I'm assuming that maybe he'll go up after Friday night's win. Other than that, Rafael and Jimmy Rivera, I don't really see too many people standing in his way, because Dominic Cruz, I think he's taking an L. I'll look it up in a second, but he's taking an L to both of those guys up until this point. So, I don't really see anyone getting a rematch except for him. My man, Wolfman, Mike, on the IG feed, it says, Moraes was always the good fighter. Yes, he was. I did not expect him to win like he did Friday night. Yeah, I do definitely need to be watching him more. I promise I will be paying more attention to him from now on. Yeah, in that division, that 135-pound division in the bantamweight area, he's gonna be making some noise. I promise you. Another fight from that card, that Friday night card, Ben Saunders, he looked good last night. I know he hasn't really been looking good in his previous fights, but he looked good Friday night. He was fighting Jake Ellenberger, man, and he caught Ellenberger with a knee that was vicious, folded him up like a lawn chair, man. Man, for those of you who saw that fight and saw that knee that he caught Ellenberger with, man, dropped him, ended the fight in under 2 minutes, another awesome first round victory. This is what I mean, like toward the latter end. You're looking at the prelims, and I guess the younger fighters that are trying to make a name for themselves, and you see up-and-coming fighters hungry, wanting to get the finish, wanting to get the awesome win and perform and look good for the crowd. And they start the card with the prelims, and the prelims were kind of lit. Then as they went into the earlier fights for the main card, it kind of died down. It wasn't really as action-packed as the latter fights on the main card. But these cards here, these latter fights on that card, man, they were pretty dope. Especially with that main event. Of course, it ended kind of early with it being 30 seconds. This one ending in under 2 minutes. But the finishes and the fashion that the fights were ended, it was dope. But yeah, Ben Saunders looked good, and that was a good win for him, man. He needed that win Friday night. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about Ellenberger, man. Ellenberger's a dope fighter, man, but his record as of late, man, has been kind of lackluster. He's 2-8 in his last 10 fights, and at this point, I'm assuming he's going to have to step back and go back to the drawing board and examine him going further within his UFC career. He's a dope fighter, man, but it was those last 10 fights, possibly looking at his record as a whole, in the more recent, the latter end of his career, he's definitely going to have to start looking at that. In his prime, man, he was a monster. I'll be honest. But now, as of late, man, I don't know how, say Tiger Knee hit him with that streak. Yeah, he did. He hit him with the sagging, Mike. He did. That Tiger Knee. He folded him up, too. Right when he caught him right in that midsection, man. He was done. You can see it. But yeah, that was dope. Another dope fight that was on that card Friday night, the UFC Fight Night card. You had that Gregor Gillespie fight, man. He's still undefeated, man. 5-0 in the UFC, 12-0 overall with his pro MMA record. He looked pretty dominant against Vince Pichel. Went for 8 takedowns, completed 7 of them, man. Couldn't really close the deal like he wanted to initially until the second round. He got that arm triangle choke, man, and he was able to get Pichel to tap out. I'm looking for him to come up in the rankings as well because of how good he's looked as of late. But we'll see. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if I see a title shot. And I mean, even though he's undefeated, 5-0 UFC, that division that he's in, man, I'm not sure if I'll be able to. I don't know. Time will tell if whether or not we'll see a title shot in his near future. He could definitely make a case for it right now, though. We'll have to wait and see. Since we're on the subject of MMA, before we get to the boxing real quick, I gotta talk about my man Mike Bisping. Mike Bisping, and I know a lot of people might. I would like to think that more people would agree than not. But at the end of the day, I think Mike Bisping is going to go down as one of the MMA and or UFC all-time greats. I'm looking at this guy's resume and looking at everything he's accomplished in the world of MMA. I'm telling you, Mike, what's good, baby? I'm telling you that Mike Bisping is going to go down as one of the greats. So before I talk about Mike Bisping, I want to give a shout out to one of my sponsors real quick. This is the Lewis Financial Group with Russell G. Lewis. He is an authorized agent with Progressive Insurance. This is an agency with the honesty and integrity that comes with a handshake. They represent a plethora of insurance carriers and financial services companies, including Progressive, as well as other carriers such as Foremost, Hagerty, American Collectors, Aetna, Assurant, Bankers Group, Universal Property and Casualty, Selective Flood, Ameriplan, Legal Shield, Transamerica, Nationwide, Victoria College and Funding Solutions, Alliance, Access Insurance, and much, much more. He's licensed in multiple states, including here in Maryland, in Delaware, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Arizona, Missouri, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Texas, so that they can help you across the U.S. of A. You get the best of these major carriers and their expertise, and him representing them. You can see more of what they do by visiting them online at www.lewisfinancialgroup.net, or you can get a quote by calling them up and speaking to an agent Monday through Friday between 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 443-622-0561. And they're also available on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Once again, this is the Lewis Financial Group with Russell G. Lewis. Check them out online at www.lewisfinancialgroup.net or call them up 443-622-0561. This is a service that I've used. I can tell you I've personally used this service. Awesome, awesome service. I'm trying to tell you. Check them out. But yeah, let me see. Oh, my man Lee. Lee, I got to get with you too, bro. Expect a message from me today. Or at least, let me say by tomorrow. But anyway, my homie Lee Pope wasn't a fan of the Count in his earlier parts of his career, but he grew on me. You know what? I can honestly say that, man. And my man on the IG feed, my Wolfman, Mike, he's one of my favorite stand-up fighters. Yes, he is. And I see my man Russell just chimed in. I just shouted Russell out. But yes, it wasn't a fan. You know what? I can honestly say that looking at Michael Bisping's career, which we're going to talk about in a second, and a lot of the controversial wins, most of them that I feel as though, I got to be honest, that he's deserved, he's earned. One thing you cannot question about Michael Bisping is his toughness and his heart. That goes without question, without saying, man. He's one of the toughest fighters that I've seen in quite some time. I've been watching UFC since '93. Me and one of my best friends, Martin. I remember watching it in my living room, the very first one in November '93 on Curly Street, East Baltimore. Mike Bisping is the real deal. The only one, let me see if I can say the only. Let me not say the only. The one that stands out, if I had to pick a win that he got that I didn't agree with, would be the Anderson Silva win. And I'm not just saying that because I can honestly admit that I'm an Anderson Silva fanboy. But looking at how that fight ended, I had to give it to my man Spider. Other than that, man, he's earned every win he's gotten, man. The former UFC middleweight champ, up until he lost it to one of my other favorite fighters, GSP. He went on his podcast, and that was one of the means at which he announced his retirement. Just making reference to not being able to do it forever. He's had a lot of issues with his eye, a lot of ocular issues, and that obviously stems from him fighting for as long as he has. He sustained the ocular injury with the Kevin Gastelum fight, and after that, after he had the procedure, I'm assuming, done to help repair that eye, he noticed he started having issues with his good eye. So he figured that, after discussing that with him and his family and his wife and stuff, he said he figured it was time for him to hang his gloves up. He mentioned that he had considered one last fight versus Rashad Evans in London. He said never happened. He's glad he didn't do it. He didn't think it would be a good thing for him as far as his health and looking at the condition of his eye. 39 retires at 39 years old. Had to fight until he lost it on November 4th, going against GSP, George St. Pierre. He not right after that. Now this is crazy, and I'm not sure if this is the case of a fighter needing to be protected from themselves. He lost the belt to GSP on November 4th, and I remember he was on a medical ban. Most definitely get at me anytime, my man. I got you, Lee. He was a lot of fighters, well, not a lot, most fighters that I know, have to go through a medical clearance to be able to fight again, especially when right after they sustain a significant injury during the fight. He went right back after losing the belt to GSP on the 4th, and went and fought Gastelum not even a month later on the 25th. And that fight was the fight where he sustained the eye injury when he fought Gastelum on the 25th. So I'm not sure if this is just him being as tough as he is, or, I'm not sure what he did to get around that medical clearance, or maybe whatever doctors or fight officials he saw to get cleared for that fight allowed him to fight Gastelum after he sustained the injury against GSP. Because the Gastelum fight was the fight where he got the eye injury. So not even a month later, he went, after losing to GSP, and went and fought Gastelum and got hurt, got dropped. And that's when he hurt his eye. And I'm sure that was a significant factor as far as him retiring. I know it was. But his resume is just ridiculous. He won the Ultimate Fighter 3, made his UFC debut in 2006, became the first and still the only British champion in the promotion's history, back when he beat Luke Rockhold at UFC 199 to get that belt. He defended his title successfully once, then he lost it to GSP back at UFC 217, what we were just talking about. Bisping, he's had some very, very impressive numbers over his 14-year MMA career. He retires at 30-9 with an overall record of 30-9. 20-9 mark with his 11 years with the UFC. Very, very impressive. 29 fights. His 29 fights are the most by an individual fighter within the UFC history, and his 20 wins tie him with GSP and Cowboy Cerrone with the most in the promotion's history. That says a lot about Mike Bisping. That says a lot. My man Lee, I think that the English fighters are just really tough guys. And you know what? I got to be honest, most of them are, man. That come from across the pond. You're looking at Mike Bisping, I can't really say GSP because he's Canadian. I mean, even though he speaks that, I want to say that accent or that dialect because the French is their dominant language, their main language, and I guess you attribute that French language to, Europe. But technically GSP is Canadian. But just most of the fighters that come from over across the pond, man, those dudes are tough. And not only in the UFC, man, in Bellator, even when they had World Series fighting, man, just thinking of that, fighters that come from that region, the majority of them, man, are like some super tough dudes. But looking at the Count's resume, man, even the notable wins, man, he beat Chris Lieben by unanimous decision. He took an L to Dan Henderson. He lost to Dan Henderson by second round KO in 2009. Came back and beat Dan Henderson 7 years later by unanimous decision. He's beat CB Dalloway. He's beat Tialis Lietes. He beat, I gotta say it, Anderson Silva, even though I really feel like Spider won that fight. But they gave the W to Bisping, so I'm going to give the W to Bisping. So I got to put Spider on that list. He beat Anderson Silva. He took an L to Luke Rockhold back in 2014. Then he beat Rockhold for the middleweight belt in June of 2016. That was the belt he lost to GSP. So looking at Mike Bisping's resume, I think he can feel comfortable in his retirement because he really doesn't have anything else to lose. He's done it all. He doesn't have anything left to prove. He's pretty much his accomplishments speak for themselves. Looking back at Mike Bisping's career, yeah, he's done it, man. So I think he can feel comfortable in his retirement. Tell me what you guys think, man. Some of you have already chimed in on the Instagram live feed. Some of you have chimed in on the Facebook feed as well. YouTube feed is still running. Or you can call in, man. Tell me what you think. 516-590-0997. Again, call in. Talk to me. Holler at me. Tell me what you think about Mike Bisping and his career. His awesome career. 516-590-0997. let's get to the boxing for a minute. My man Russell. Western Canada speaks mostly English. Central Canada and areas around Quebec speak mostly French, and that is where GSP is from. Where's your guy from in Canada? That's where he's from. Let me look it up. If I am correct, he is from the Quebec area. GSP is from. Let me confirm that. My man Russell. Yes, he is. He is from Montérégie, Quebec, Canada. Yes, he is. So, which explains his French dialect. Yeah. So, real quick, let's get into the boxing. We'll take a look at some of the events we have next week coming. It is going to be absolutely lit. Let's start with the ESPN boxing. And I'm just amped that this boxing is going to be on. I mean, I stream everything. But the fact that they're having this on ESPN is a plus. We got my man, Terrence Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. They will be fighting for the WBO World Welterweight title. Just to keep you on your toes, my man. You always do, Russ. That's all good. Yes. We will have Terrence Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. They will be fighting for the WBO World Welterweight title. My man Lee, I think I might be half English. I always go Black Bronson for a fight. Oh, man. I see you, man. My man Lee. We're going to talk about that too, bro. All right. Yeah, so Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. My man, Terrence Bud Crawford, undefeated in the ring, sitting at 32-0. He is ranked as the world's second best active boxer, pound for pound, by the Boxing Writers Association of America and the Transnational Boxing Rankings Board. Of course, behind Vasily Lomachenko being listed as number 1, they have Terrence Bud Crawford listed as number 2. And he's listed 3rd by the Ring Magazine and ESPN and BoxRec. Wow. Terrence Bud Crawford all day. It won't be close. Bud is on another level. I got to agree with you on that, Coach Green. I really don't see nobody touching Terrence Bud right now, man. He's like, you got, I'm going to compare this to how Joe Budden was speaking about certain rappers and MCs. And I'm going to use the same analogy for boxing right now. You have some boxers that are just like top-notch boxers that, they just sit on a high pedestal when it comes to skill and ability in the ring. Then you have some boxers that go above that. They're just like aliens. Like, they just not from this world. Terrence Bud Crawford is one of those aliens. This dude, as far as boxing skill, he's alien. He's not from this world. Him, Lomachenko, there's a couple other boxers that I'll put on that list. And I want to sit down and actually put a list together and talk about that on one of the shows. But Terrence Bud Crawford, he's an alien. He's just out of this world as far as boxing skill and ability in the ring. But yeah, he's undefeated. His resume, again, Terrence Bud Crawford, his resume, he's another fighter whose resume speaks for itself. He's a former world champion in 2 weight classes. He's held the WBO and the Ring Magazine lineal lightweight titles from 2014 to 2015. He is the unified WBA Super, WBC, IBF, and WBO. And Ring Magazine lineal light welterweight titles between 2015 and 2017. Again, Bud's resume speaks for itself. Now, this is the thing. Back in October of 2017, Bud officially vacated his WBO title to move up to the welterweight division. The WBO announced that Bud Crawford, he would be the mandatory challenger to their title holder, the title they're fighting for this coming Saturday, Jeff Horn. Now, Horn was scheduled to make a voluntary title defense in December against another Brit guy, Gary Corcoran. And Crawford would not fight again until later on he wasn't going to schedule the fight till later on in that month, December. Now, the winner of Horn versus Corcoran was ordered to schedule a fight with Bud Crawford within the 90 days. You had the mandatory title contender, which at that time would be Bud Crawford because he moved up in weight. So the officials of the the WBO, and gave them a 90-day time frame to schedule a mandatory fight versus Bud Crawford. And he said it would try to, Bob Arum said they would try to schedule the fight between March and April. For whatever reason, that didn't happen. That wasn't able to happen, so they're scheduling it now. It's going to happen in June. My man, Coach Green, he put a list together here. We got the only fighter that I think that can beat him is Errol Spence. Dude, I think that would be a dope fight, him versus Errol Spence. I got to be honest in saying I think Bud would take him. I think Bud is a little faster than Spence. I think Spence packs a little bit more power looking at his resume and the ability to knock dudes out. I would give Spence a little bit of edge on that aspect, but I don't think he can keep up with Bud. And again, that's just my opinion. My man Coach Green put a top 5 together here. He got Spence, Crawford, Garcia, Tank Davis. Let me see. Spence, Terrence Crawford, Mikey Garcia, Gervonta Tank Davis. Either you left out one or I can't see it. Let me see what you got. Top 5: Errol Spence, Terrence Bud Crawford, Mikey Garcia, Gervonta Tank Davis. Yeah, I think you left out one, Coach Green. I see what you're trying to say here, though. Errol Spence is so strong. Yeah, he is. Loma. I see it now. Lomachenko. You know, I will say this. I agree with this list. I'm not sure which order I would put them in, but I would put Loma and Bud at the top of the list. I'm not sure which two I would put it. I'm not sure which would be number 1 and number 2. They would definitely be my number 1s and 2s, with the other 3 following close behind them. But yeah, I agree. Spence is strong, man. Spence, he drops dudes, man. And that's what I'm thinking, that if he can connect, well, first we need to figure out if they're actually going to be able to make this fight happen. I would love to see them make this fight happen between Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. I do believe Spence is a little bit stronger than Crawford. I just don't think he can keep up with Bud, man. Bud's speed is like ridiculous, man. But yeah. He's going to be fighting Jeff Horn this Saturday. It's going to be ESPN, so it's not a pay-per-view bout. So anybody can tune into it. I mean, I stream anyway, but we will definitely have this going on ESPN Saturday. So stay tuned. Make sure y'all watch the fight. We'll be talking about the fight this coming Sunday. Bud Crawford, man, undefeated. He's defended his title successfully 9 times. He will be fighting Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn, let me give Jeff Horn a little bit of props now. I'm not taking anything away from Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn is also undefeated. He's sitting at 19-0 with 1 draw. My man Coach Green, Lomo didn't look impressive his last fight, and he did not look his usual self. And I'm assuming you're saying that because even though Loma did take this dude through the matrix a little bit, Loma got dropped. And that's the first time I think he's ever been dropped like that. Lomachenko. He didn't look his usual impressive self. He did not. I can agree with that as well. He still made mincemeat of this dude, though. I gotta be honest, Coach Green. Let me look up something real quick for Lomachenko. Because, what did he end there? He ended that fight in the 10th round. 10th round TKO of George Linares. And Linares is a big dude. Well, bigger than Loma, rather. And he was able to catch Loma with a good shot. Drop Loma, man. I was surprised. And it's amazing how even after that, you still see Loma put on the dominant performance going up against a fighter like Linares. But I can also admit that it was not the usual Lomachenko that we are accustomed to seeing. It was not. So it also makes me wonder who would be his next opponent. I wonder who are they going to put up to fight Loma next. A lot of people are saying that they want to see him fight Tank Davis. I also think that would be a good fight as well. And I'm trying not to be biased because Tank is from here, and Tank is like one of the best fighters out right now, man. Let me see. Tank, yes, it would. If that was Tank, I believe he would not have recovered. Tank's biggest issue is his life outside of the ring. Tank, with him being, I truly believe he's a more powerful fighter than Linares. Linares, the guy that was able to drop Loma. And if so, he wouldn't. And if he did, he wouldn't have recovered as easily. If he was able to continue to fight, the damage that Tank would have done would have been significantly more than the damage that Linares was able to do. I will say that. I'm just trying to think, because of the issue you just brought up here, because of his life outside of the ring, would Tank be ready for a fight like a Lomachenko? With his training regimen and the things that he has going on outside of the ring, would that allow him to be ready for a fight that big? I would love to see Tank take that big of a challenge, but the issue you just put in the bottom of that comment, it makes me wonder, would he be ready? I would love to see. I would love to see. Thanks, to you. I appreciate the love, Coach Green. I would love to see Tank, especially with him being from here, man. Step up and take that challenge, man. I'm just trying to figure out, would he be ready? That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Is he able to take the challenge? If Tank focuses and gets if he's able to put those issues outside of the ring to the side and straight focus on, him being prepared for a fight like Loma, I think he'd be able to, to bang with him. Who would be the victor of that fight? I'm not sure which way I would go at this right now, at least. Please don't bite my head off, y'all. For those of y'all who are from here in Baltimore, right now, I think I would give a slight edge to Loma. And this is coming from a huge Tank Davis fan. Says he needs to mature maybe in 2 years once he grows up. I believe he just moved to Atlanta. I think that is true. I'm trying to get my man, with the trainer, Calvin Ford, on the show. Calvin, if you're listening, we got to link up, man. I'm trying to get you on the show, bro. That would be dope, man, to have you on here. So we'll see if I'm able to work that out. Calvin, if you're listening, we got to link up and holler at me, bro. Yeah, that would be dope, man. And maybe he does need to get away. And maybe that him just being in a different environment, away from everyone he knows and, he's interacting with here, that different environment would be beneficial to him progressing in his career, man, because this kid's talent level, again, if he focuses strictly on the boxing and just getting his mind right as far as being in the ring and moving forward in his career, he's going to reach that alien level we were just talking about. He's going to go on that list of, you got great fighters, then you got dudes that are just aliens. Tank Davis will make that list, man. Right now, I don't think he's not at this current time in his career, not yet. But he's like right at the door, bro. I'm telling you, he's right there at the door. And I think he's gonna get there. I think if he's moving down to Atlanta, like you said, and he's doing that just to strictly focus on boxing in his career, I think he's gonna get the alien status. Bro, I missed all of everything. What events happened last night? Give me 1 second, my man Cole. What's happening, bro? We were talking about UFC fight night. I'll just do a quick recap. I don't want to go too far back, Cole. I'm sorry, but we were talking about UFC fight night Friday night. We had a 33-second KO of Marlon Morales. He ended Jimmy Rivera's 20-fight win streak. We talked about those events. We talked about Mike Bisping's retirement and his awesome career. If you want, you can chime in on that. We talked about that. We talked about next Saturday we got Terrence Bud Crawford fighting Jeff Horn. We're actually talking about that right now. We just got sidetracked talking about some of the fighters that are in that class of the best fighters right now. And my friend of mine, homie Coach Green, he made a list. He was talking about Tank Davis, Lomachenko, Terrence Bud Crawford, Earl Spence, and who else? Who else did he put on the list? We were just, just talking about different fighters. But the subject matter, as we got sidetracked, was Terrence Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. So his heart will always be respected. It was that, yeah, you're right. My man Cody on the Instagram feed. Yeah, so we were talking about, matter of fact, let me get back to Jeff Horn. I want to give Jeff Horn his props because he will be fighting Terrence Bud Crawford Saturday on ESPN. Jeff Horn is an undefeated fighter. He has held the WBO welterweight title since 2017, which is the belt they will be fighting for this coming Saturday. He acquired that belt after defeating Manny Pacquiao by unanimous decision, which was a controversial win. I have to be honest in saying that I thought Manny Pacquiao won that fight. Again, that's just my opinion. I thought that win was very controversial, but they gave the W and the belt to Jeff Horn, so I'm saying Jeff Horn. So he won. I mean, he did. He beat Manny Pacquiao by UD. He successfully defended his title once. Initially, Jeff Horn was supposed to give Pacquiao a rematch. Of course, you know, Pacquiao went through the whole controversy of trying to get recount and dealing with the judges on an an administrative level that didn't work out. He was supposed to give Manny a rematch, but the rematch was delayed until this year. But instead of the rematch, he was scheduled to give Manny. He made a voluntary defense against Gary Cochran back in December. And Cochran's the corner wound up throwing in the towel during the fight in the 11th round. He did kind of beat him up pretty bad. They were both kind of cut badly. But I got to be honest in saying Cochran took more damage. Appeared to me that he took more damage than Jeff Horn did. So Cochran's corner threw in the towel, which gave Jeff Horn's the TKO victory in the 11th round. And Horn was leading on these scorecards as well. So technically, he would have been the winner. You know, they stopping the fight. It would have went in Horn's favor. And Bud Crawford will be, beyond the shadow of a doubt, Horn's toughest opponent thus far. I gotta be honest, and you know, I try to keep a level playing field here on the show and not being biased because of certain fans that I am certain fighters I am a big fan of. I gotta be honest saying I think Bud is going to murder this dude, man. And again, taking nothing away. Oh, I do agree with you. We were just talking about that. Me and my homie Coach Green were just talking about that, man. But Loma versus Tank is the fight I think everybody wants to see, man. But and I also agree. Say I don't think Tank is just quite ready yet, but he's right there. He's at the door, man. He just needs to get over that. What we were just discussing, his outside of the ring hump. I'm telling you, man. I promise you, Tank is going to get there. He's going to get there, and I would love to see him go up against Lomachenko, man. But yeah, I do too. I got Crawford. Crawford is going to. I don't even think it's going to be close, man. I don't. I really don't. It's going to end bad. Call me up if you want, man. Tell me what you guys think. 516-590-0997. Again, the call-in number to the show that we posted on the social media streams were incorrect. That was a typographical error on my part. They did change the show's call-in number, but a lot of you are chiming in on the Instagram feed and the Facebook feed. But if you feel free to call in, man, 516-590-0997. Tell me what you think about the upcoming fight next week between Terrence Bud Crawford and Jeff Horn. A lot of people that I see are giving Bud Crawford the landslide victory. Anything can happen, man. Any given fight, any given night, anybody can have a puncher's chance to get in a shot and win the fight. So I'm not going to act like it can't happen. I'm not going to act like Jeff Horn does not have the possibility or the ability to actually win the fight. It just doesn't look good going in his favor, man. They're expecting Bud Crawford to win this fight by a landslide. In my professional opinion, if you want to call it that, I would tend to agree. I just don't see a way that Jeff Horn could win this fight. But Crawford is faster. Crawford is stronger. He's a little bit bigger. Yeah, Horn is hell of my man. Colby. Yeah, Horn is hella hated after that Pac shit. Yeah, he is. That fight, man. I just gotta. I don't. I really think Manny won that fight for whatever reason, man. They gave him the decision. Crawford is gonna wreck him. I really think he is. I don't. It's some people that I've talked to that don't even think he belongs in a ring with Bud Crawford, but he's the champ. He's the champ, and Bud Crawford is fighting for his title. So he is. I gotta be honest. It's Bud Crawford's job to win this fight. Even though Crawford is the heavily favored fighter, and everybody's pegging Crawford to murder this dude, it's Bud Crawford's responsibility to beat Jeff Horn, not the other way around. Even though Crawford is even though Horn is the underdog, he's fighting for Horn's belt. Let's put a little bit of respect on Jeff Horn's name. It's his responsibility in this fight, which everybody, I'm sure, they're thinking he's going to do, to beat. Always pin your calling number, bro. I did. I just picked the wrong one. That was my bad. I'll make sure I fix that for next week's show. Yeah, but it's Bud's responsibility to win this fight because I got it. It's Horn's belt. So it's his job to come in and beat Jeff Horn, which everybody says he's going to do. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about what do you think is going to be the outcome of next week's fight? You got Terrence Bud Crawford fighting Jeff Horn on that card. Yeah, that's gonna be a dope fight right there, man. But everybody's looking for Bud Crawford to murder this dude. We'll see. I'm taking Crawford. I'm not gonna say how I think the fight will end, but I'm definitely taking Terrence Bud Crawford, man. Yeah. Let's take a look at UFC. We get back to MMA for a second, man. We also have next Saturday is gonna be lit, man. I'm gonna have like 3 or 4 screens open. I'm telling you right now. I do it every week, man. I have my phone showing one fight, my TV showing one fight, my laptop showing another fight. My wife is looking at me like, how in the world you gonna watch 3 fights at one time? I'm looking at her like, watch me do it. She's looking at me shaking her head like I'm crazy. I do it every week. Nevertheless, I'm gonna have 3 screens open, trying to watch all 3 of these at the same time. So we just talked about ESPN boxing. That's gonna be Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. We're gonna have 2 title fights. Unanimous decision for Crawford. You going unanimous decision, Coach Green? I'm going with KO. I'm gonna give him the KO probably in the later rounds. Maybe I'll give Jeff Horn the ability to try to take him the distance. Again, it is Crawford's job to win this fight because Jeff Horn is the champ. They're fighting for Jeff Horn's belt. I'll give Crawford the KO maybe in the 9th, 10th round. The fight is scheduled for 12. I'll let him go to 9 to 10. I'll give Crawford the KO, maybe TKO. But yeah, real quick, we're going to talk about UFC 225. We have 2 dope title fights on that card. Before I go into the title fight, I'm going to give a shout out to another one of my sponsors, Primal Elite. If you are looking for personal training and or coaching, whether that be in weight loss, bodybuilding, powerlifting, high-intensity training, boot camp training, and more, Primal Elite is the personal training service to go to where all of that can happen. With sessions ranging from basic training to advanced training, contact certified personal trainer Mike Rose at 443-979-2894. You can also check out his Instagram page at Wolfmanix. That's Wolfmanix, WOLMANXIX. Or check out his Facebook page at Primal Elite. Tell them Combat Conversation sent you, and the first 5 people to sign up get 3 sessions with free meal prep planning included. Again, contact certified personal trainer Mike Rose at 443-979-2894. Also, check out his Instagram page at Wolfmanix, WOLMANXIX, or his Facebook page at Primal Elite. This boy had you cut up, chiseled, swole, I promise you. All right, so now, before we get into any more festivities here, let's talk about UFC 225. This card next Saturday is going to have two dope championship fights on it, man. 2 title fights on deck. This has the potential to be a really awesome fight card, man. First, we're going to look at the middleweight championship fight between Rob Whittaker. Rob Whitt is going to defend his middleweight title against the #1 contender, Yoel Romero. Now, before we get into this title and we discuss the details of this fight, let's go back and talk about the ongoing saga that is the UFC middleweight division and the belt that's attached to it. This UFC middleweight division has like a whole drama story behind it, man. This fight is actually their rematch. The rematch between Yoel Romero and the champ Rob Witt. Whitaker fought Yoel Romero for the interim middleweight belt back in July of last year at UFC 213. Now, they fought for the interim belt because at the time you had Mike Bisping, who we just discussed, that he retired. He was the current champion, but he had a really bad knee injury that he was going through, so he couldn't fight at the time. It kept him on the sidelines for a few months, so they had to have a fight for the interim belt. Whitaker won the interim belt by unanimous decision, beating Yoel Romero, and which also made him the first Australian and first New Zealand-born fighter to hold a UFC title. So awesome accomplishment. And then Rob Whitaker got hurt. He missed the rest of 2017 because he had a knee injury to his left leg. So you had Mike Bisping out with a knee injury, got Rob Whitt out with a knee injury. Now, Mike Bisping came back first. During this time where Rob Whitaker was out, you had Mike Bisping return, and right after Mike Bisping returned, you had GSP return and moved up to the middleweight division. Thus, we had the fight between Mike Bisping and GSP. GSP beat Mike Bisping back in November, submitted Mike Bisping, won the middleweight belt. So now you have the actual middleweight champion, who was GSP, and you had the interim champion, who was Rob Whitaker. Then, December of 2017 comes around. The actual middleweight champion at the time, GSP, had to vacate his title because he got diagnosed with colitis. Those of you who don't know what colitis is, it's a kind of a inflammatory disease dealing with the colon. Makes you really sick. Couldn't really fight. He lost a lot of weight. Getting treated for the colitis. Had to give up his belt. Couldn't fight because of the disease. GSP is planning, after getting treated for the disease, to come back now. He's in the process of trying to come back. My man, Yoel's a dope fighter too. I see you, Kobe. But yeah, so GSP had to vacate his belt because he got diagnosed with colitis. He was in too much pain. So when GSP vacated his actual middleweight belt, Rob Whitaker, who was the interim middleweight champion, got promoted to the actual, the undisputed middleweight champion, because there was no need for interim. GSP had to vacate, couldn't fight because of the colitis. Rob Witt got promoted to the actual champion. Now, when Rob Witt got promoted to actual champion, he was scheduled to defend his title at UFC 221 against Luke Rockhold in February of this year, of 2018. On January, Rob Witt had to back out again because of another injury. And he would be replaced by Yoel Romero, your man, Soldier of God, to fight for the interim championship versus Luke Rockhold. Now, the winner of this fight between Luke Rockhold and Yoel Romero would face Rob Witt in a unification bout, because that winner would be the interim, and they would go against Rob Witt, who was the actual champion. Now, on January of this year, Dana White said that Rob Witt was sick again, and he had a staph infection in his stomach, had to get treated for a staph infection, which actually is the common condition that a lot of fighters, whether it be through sickness or unsanitary conditions or whatever, staph infections are actually more common than people think when it comes to fighters getting sick. So Rob Witt caught a staph infection, couldn't fight. Now, the problem with the interim fight between Yoel Romero and Luke Rockhold is that before the fight, Yoel Romero failed to make weight. He failed to make weight. At the weigh-ins, Yoel Romero came in at 188.3 pounds in his first attempt at the weigh-in. They gave him 2 hours to make 185, so he had to come down roughly 2.5 pounds. And he failed to get rid of the 2.5 pounds. So he came in roughly 2.5 pounds overweight at the middleweight limit of 185. So he was allowed to go through with the fight, but because he didn't make weight, his ability to win the interim championship was taken away. So he was able to go on with the fight versus Luke Rockhold, but the catch was, if Luke Rockhold won, he would have been declared the interim champ. If Yoel Romero won, he would have been just given the W and not able to acquire the championship because of the weight issue. Well, as it turns out, as you know, for those of you who are following the UFC and the middleweight division and Yoel Romero and things of the like, Romero wound up winning the fight. Romero won the fight, and he was fined 30% of his purse, which awarded to Rockhold. But Rockhold, you know, he would have been able to get the championship. But got tongue tied. Romero wound up winning, and he couldn't win the championship. So now he will be put up against Rob Witt for the second time to try to acquire the actual championship. Now this will be Yoel Romero's third straight title shot. His last 3 fights have been title shots, and he's always been the fighter. He's an awesome fighter. He's always been the fighter who's been able to knock on the door of a championship, but wasn't quite able to get it. So this will be his third attempt at UFC title. Give me 1 second. I'll give you the rundown for his championship attempts. Where are you, Yoel? Right. Okay, so his first one, of course, was against Rob Witt back in July, where he lost by UD. Then he beat Rockhold by KO in the 3rd round. That was back in February, but he couldn't win the title because he came in 2.5 pounds overweight. Now he will be fighting Rob Witt again for the middleweight championship, and this might be a last hoorah for Yoel Romero, man. So I don't know how this is going to pan out for him, but we'll see. We'll find out. Man, I tell you, I really would love to see Yoel win a championship, man, win a title. But I mean, you got to think like, yo, how many opportunities are you going to get? Because Yoel is a dope fighter, but this will be his 3rd straight title shot. Yoel has been with the UFC since 2013, man. So let's see how this pans out for Yoel. Now, the other title bout that will be on this UFC 225 card, it will be RDJ, Rafael Dos Anjos. See, RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos, who is the #1 ranked contender, versus Colby Covington, who is ranked number 4. Now, they're going to fight for the interim welterweight title. RDA, now everybody knows Rafael Dos Anjos. He's a MMA legend. Let's be for real here. At the end of the day, RDA eventually will be going into the MMA Hall of Fame. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. He is a former lightweight champ. He beat Anthony Pettis for the lightweight strap by UD back in March of 2015. They only give me an hour on the Instagram feed, so the Instagram feed is going to cut in a minute or so. I'll bring it right back for those of you who are watching on Instagram. But yes, RDA, he's a former lightweight champ. He beat Anthony Pettis for the belt back in March of 2015. He had one successful title defense. That was against Cowboy Cerrone. And then he lost the belt to Eddie Alvarez back in July of 2016. That was by a first round TKO. I remember that fight too. Give me 1 second, Instagram fam. They only give you an hour, so they're gonna make me restart the Instagram feed. Give me 1 second. And we will be connecting back to the Instagram feed in a second. There we go. All right. Now, yes. So, talking about RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. He, looking at his resume, he made the move up to welterweight back in June of last year, and he's won 3 straight since. And he sits at 28-9. So, listen, RDA is a legend. At the end of the day, RDA is probably going into, not probably, I'm pretty sure he'll make it into the MMA Hall of Fame. That's just RDA. And he sits at 28-9. But he's going up against a hot Colby Covington right now. And Colby, they only have Colby ranked number 4 in the welterweight division. Looking at the welterweight division, I'm just trying to figure out, man, with them Tyrone is not able to compete right now. He's the actual champ. So again, this will be for the interim title. But Colby, they got Colby ranked number 4. They got Wonder Boy ranked number 3. He was number 2, and they pushed Darren Till. I'm assuming it's because of his last win or series of wins up to number 2 from 6. He went from 6 up to 2, and they have, of course, RDA as number 1. He's going up against Colby for the interim belt. So whoever wins this fight, I'm assuming, depending on when Ty Woodley comes back, they're going to either fight Ty Woodley for a unification bout, or they're going to defend their interim title against Darren Till. My money will be on one of those things, one of those 2 things happening. I'm not sure which one yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of those 2 things. But Colby Covington is hot, man. He's 13-1. He's won 5 in a row. His last fight was against Damian Maia. He beat Damian by UD. He looked really good in that fight. But again, the question is, what they're going to do after this fight. Whoever wins this fight, man, are they going to have them fight Ty Woodley? Depending on when Ty Woodley comes back. Woodley is out. He tore labrum in his shoulder that he sustained during the first round of his fight against Damian Maia. So he did beat Damian Maia, but he tore his labrum in his shoulder. I'm not even sure what a labrum is, but he hurt his shoulder pretty bad apparently, and he's out right now, which is why they're fighting for the interim title. So depending on how fast his shoulder heals or how ready he is to fight again, referring to Ty Woodley, I'm telling you, they're either going to have him, the winner of this fight, Ty, or they're going to have to fight Darren Till. I actually would rather like to see them fight Darren Till, because Ty's an awesome champ, but his fighting style doesn't make for exciting fights all the time. But either way, when Ty's going to have to come back and defend that belt against, depending on the outcome of this fight, one of the 3. He's going to have to fight either RDA, he's going to have to fight Colby Covington, or he's going to have to fight Darren Till. One of the 3 is going to happen. But that all depends, again, on when Ty Woodley comes back. We'll see. We'll see. Also, before we go, I want to talk about another event that we have coming up next Saturday. Before we do that, I'm going to give a shout out to my last sponsor for the day. That will be More Customs. Please go and check out Be More Customs, where you can get quality custom shirts and hoodies. Also customized soaps, lotions, body washes, body scrubs, body butters, perfume and cologne, and sprays, and more with all of your favorite fragrances. Go like them on Facebook. Go check their Facebook page out right now. Go like them on Facebook at Be More Customs. Tell them Combat Conversation sent you, and all Combat Conversation listeners that like and follow Be More Customs will receive a 20% discount on their first order and a minimum 10% discount on all future orders. Again, go over to their Facebook page, Be More Customs, and hit the like button right now, Facebook fam. Y'all and Instagram fan, go check them out too. Go like their page right now and tell them Combat Conversation sent you. If you do, you will receive a 20% discount on your first order and a minimum 10% discount on future orders. Their products are dope. Their stuff is dope. I use their peppermint soap all the time. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I promise you. But yes, give me a second, fam. Here we go. All right. So before we go, I also want to talk about Showtime boxing that will have. Listen, next Saturday is going to be off the rack. I'm telling you. So Showtime boxing has a card as well. You will have 2 dope fights on that card, both championship fights. We will have Abner Mares versus Leo Santa Cruz for the WBA Super World Featherweight title. Abner, he is the current WBA regular featherweight champ. He's held that belt since 2016. He is a four-time world champion in 3 weight classes. The kid is dope, I'm telling you. He's previously held the IBF Bantamweight title from 2011 to 2012. He had the WBC Super Bantamweight title from 2012 to 2013. And he had the WBC Featherweight title for a brief period in 2013. And he also held the IBO Bantamweight title from 2010 to 2011. The kid is 32-2-1. And this is his rematch from Leo Santa Cruz. He lost to Santa Cruz... he lost to Santa Cruz back in August of 2015 by majority decision. That fight was the fight they fought for the WBA Super Featherweight title. So this is his chance to get back at Santa Cruz. Now Santa Cruz is the current WBA Super Featherweight champ. He's held that belt since 2017. He was a previous IBF Bantamweight title holder from 2012 to 2013. So this kid is dope as well. He's had this WBC, hate when I get tongue-tied, Super Bantamweight title from 2013 to 2015. And the WBA Super Featherweight title from 2015 to 2016. Now, Santa Cruz is 34-1-1. And his one loss, the one loss he had, was versus Carl Frampton back in July of 2016. And he got Frampton back. He avenged that loss in January of 2017. Both of those fights ended in majority decision. The first one in Frampton's favor. The most recent one in January of 2017 in Santa Cruz's favor. So Santa Cruz did get him back. So Santa Cruz will be fighting Abner Mares. That'll be on Showtime this Saturday. They are fighting for the WBA Super World Featherweight title. We will also have on this Showtime card one of the Charlo twins. I know I got tongue-tied earlier when I was talking about Charlo. When I said Bud Crawford, I called them twins Crawford twins. That was incorrect. I got tongue-tied. Thinking about Bud Crawford. They're the Charlo twins, Jermell and Jamal. Well, Jermell, with the E, will be fighting Austin Trout for the WBC World Super Welterweight title. That's going to be on the Showtime card as well. Austin is a former WBA regular super welterweight title holder from 2011 to 2013. He's 31-4, and he's already lost to his twin brother Jamal. He lost to Jamal a while back. He got back in the win column his last fight, losing the 2 previous fights before that. One of those losses was to his twin brother, to Jamal's twin brother Jamal. He lost that fight by unanimous decision. This kid Trout is dope. He's a dope fighter, man, and this could be a title bounce back opportunity for him if he can beat Jermell. But beating either one of the Charlo twins is not an easy task. Let me put that out there. It's absolutely not at all. But Jermell is both of these Charlo twins are dope. Jermell, he's fighting the twin he's fighting is Jermell. And Jermell is the current WBC light middleweight champ. He's held that title since 2016. Since mid-2016, he is undefeated. He's undefeated at 30-0. And I can't say enough about how awesome this Charlo kid is, man. Both of them. But we're talking about Jermell right now. The twins. He successfully defended his title 2 times. And this being his 3rd title defense, I think trial is going to be a good test for him. I really do have Jermell winning this fight. I do not think this will be an easy win for Jermell. Yeah, a lot of awesome fights coming up this Saturday. Stay tuned because we will be watching these fights. I will try to do a pre-fight video sometime this Wednesday to put on the YouTube channel. I'm not making you guys any promises. I will do my best to put that video up. But either way, video or no video, we will be watching the fights Saturday night, and we will be talking about these fights Sunday morning, like we do every Sunday at 10 a.m. Appreciate the love, fam. It's good to be back, man. I've been gone for almost 2 months, man, just dealing with life. For those of you who do not know, I am a newlywed. I just recently got married roughly 2 weeks ago. Not even, yeah, roughly 2 weeks ago. So shout out to my awesome and beautiful wife, Sharita. But yeah, I'm back. We are back every Sunday at 10 a.m. And appreciate the love, man. I know I see a lot of y'all miss me. I missed y'all too, man. But we're back. And I will see y'all like clockwork next Sunday morning. So until then, talk to you later. Shout out to the Facebook fam. Shout out to the YouTube fam. We on YouTube live now. Shout out to the IG fam. But yeah, every Sunday at 10 a.m. like clockwork, man. We will see y'all next Sunday. We're going to have a lot to talk about next Sunday. So until then, talk to you later, family. Deuces.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. Boy, what you want?
Are you sick?
Yep.